Hey guys, welcome back. So we just got our shipment from Send Cut Send. This is our fan shroud they laser cut for us, and about to pull that out of the packaging and get her installed. Yeah, there's my radiator. So let's see what this is going to take. All right, so this took a couple of days on and off of working on this. We bought a car in the middle of this, but anyway, we got our shroud built and we got it welded, and it's almost done. So you can see here we got to slide a piece of silicone, so we left a little room, but gotta probably grind that a little, give ourselves a little extra clearance. So a little bit of touch-up work, and I got to make these spacers. I'm gonna put aluminum tubes, but I didn't have any, so I just cut some copper to act as temporary spacers. But I'll buy some aluminum tube and make our spacers for that. That keeps our, you can see here we got a decent amount of standoff. That gives the air that's coming from the fan can like reach into these corners and pull air from these sections. And also, little fun fact, if you're ever designing your own heat exchanger stuff, obviously the blades pull a ton of air. There's a big dead section right here. So if the fan was installed, you can imagine a circle right here where there's no airflow if you put the fan right up against the core. But if you get it off the core far enough, you back up enough, the air that's pressure coming here has time to turn and go, say, from here, and it can turn and go through like that. So it's important to keep these spaced off a little bit. If you ever look at a factory setup, you'll always note they put some thickness between the fan and the core. That's why, so you can get a more even distribution of airflow. Anyway, we did that. We built this shroud. It's all aluminum. I'm pretty happy with this. I've never built a shroud this nice before, and I'm not saying it's a work of art or anything, but functionally it looks solid. So anyway, super happy. Man, the welding of this was a challenge. I don't know if I just forgot how to weld or what, or man, we had a hard time. So like here, these actually turned out okay. I need to clean them, but these are okay. Actually, this weld kind of went good in some spots. You can see like, wasn't that bad. I don't know, it got a little messy here, but what happened here was the part got too hot to where it just wanted to blow a hole in it. I should have stopped and let it cool down. That's kind of my bad. I even knew what was happening. I was just impatient. But anyway, solid enough. Very happy. We got our holes marked. You can see these little dots we put here. That's our holes to mount the fan. We got to drill those, and we're going to bolt this fan on and test fit this in the car. See if, God, I hope it fits after all this work. Wish me luck. Alright, so it's the next morning, and now I believe it's done. So we had this plug missing. This is like a terribly located drain for the radiator, and we ended up grinding the plastic and cutting a notch, and now we got room for that. We opened up the clearance around these a little bit. Should have plenty of room for silicone now. Got that done. We also swapped out, remember we said we had these copper spacers? Those these, we did those for temporary because we didn't have any tubing, but we bought tubing, so got those cut out of aluminum now and added some washers to our bolts. I believe this is done. You could use a little wire wheel to make it look better, but yeah, that's a problem for future Pat. We're gonna go put this in the car. I think it's done. Hey guys, welcome back. So we've been working on our not intercooler boost pipe. We are almost finished. So we added a AIT bung, we got a blow-off valve bung, and we put these two guys. I think I need both of these. Maybe I just need one. If I have an extra, I'll cap it off. At least one of those is for the wastegate, maybe both. I kind of forget. But anyway, she's hooked up, and the last thing we got to do is drill this hole for our blow-off valve, because it wouldn't flow very good like that. But it's nice to leave this metal here when you're welding. It's less likely to blow a hole in the pipe, because that metal can conduct heat. This one's done. A little risk when you weld aluminum that already threaded is that your threads might melt. It's kind of hard to see. These did melt a little bit, so I'm going to run a 3/8 MPT tap through that and kind of clean the threads up just to be safe. Should fix it. And these are good to go. So yeah, just going to drill that hole and we'll have our boost pipe finished up. But I was glad to get that done. Okay, so we just got it installed, put our AIT sensor on, got our blow-off valve. This sucker's a classic. I bought this in like 2007. It's a tile 50mm blow-off. It's been on this car for a long time. Works great. So we got that installed. You can see under here we got our two ports. I think those are like both wastegate, like top port and bottom port or something. That one goes to the intake manifold for vacuum, so it'll blow off when you let off the gas. Here's our AIT sensor. So we're not running an intercooler. However, in the future I might throw like a methanol injector in the boost pipe to help cool the charge. So I tried to put the sensor more upstream, but I didn't want to get too close to the throttle, so we just stuck it there. And I wanted to get the blow-off valve closer, but if you put it here, it's really close to like the timing belt and the turbo, and it also blocks the view of the header. So by putting it here, it doesn't really get in the way in that regard visually, and it's not hanging down here, so you got really good access. So I decided to put it there. Not perfect, but it's okay. So boost pipe is done. We put our couplers on, tightened them up. We use these are ABA hose clamps, for those of you guys that haven't used these. They're not really like normal hose clamps. These are super durable. They don't cut like, you know, typically on a hose clamp, you can see through them. These are rolled threads. They're not cut like that. They are super tough. You basically, I've never been able to break one. You can just tighten them, and it'll damn near cut the silicone. But they have rolled edges to help prevent cutting, so they are just badass. I've run these things. They just work. They're very high quality. I actually ordered some for my cooling system as well. So good stuff. Anyway, boost pipe's done. We're gonna go check our list and see what's next. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up for the night. We got our fuel pressure sensor installed in the regulator, and this is I bought these for $100 a piece. They're actually $200 a piece now. They're Honeywell 125C rated, heavy duty, badass sensors. So we got one for fuel pressure. That's a good one that we can trust. We have another one. Actually, I'll show you right here. This is the sensor, if you guys ever need one. That's the part number. 150 PSI. These are heavy duty, really good sensors. Here's a cheap knockoff sensor that you can buy for, you know, I don't know, 20 bucks or something, or $30. We're going to use this one for coolant pressure because these are $200 a piece now, and I don't really want to spend another 200 bucks. So I'm just going to drop this in for coolant. Don't know if it's going to work because these sensors are not 125C. These are good to like 70C or 80C. I don't know. Not really sure. They don't work that great. They get too hot, they fail. So coolant gets hot. Not sure if that's going to work. We're going to put it on the cold side, so it's got a chance, but we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if that sensor doesn't really work. And if it doesn't, we'll probably have to spend the big bucks and get a good one. But I wanted a real sensor on the oil pressure and a real sensor on the fuel pressure. Coolant pressure, not as important. So anyway, plus with coolant, like I used to have one of these sensors hooked up, and basically it would get too hot and it would fail. And when it cooled off, it would start working again. So since I have coolant temperature, if that does happen, it'll be kind of obvious. Like as the temperature goes up, it stops, and as it goes down, it starts again. So anyway, enough rambling. We got our coolant sensor put in. We'll see how this works out. Normally that would be before the thermostat, but I've got the thermostat here. So the reason I hope this is going to work, on the front of the head, this is where hot water from the head comes out, shoots over to the turbo, comes out of the turbo, wraps around, and you'll see this thermostat housing has a hose right there. So hot water that's come through the head and also the turbo goes through here and circulates. So it'll still have fresh water, some water circulating that did go through the head going across that sensor, but it also went across the turbo. So it's going to skew it some. And then this return, when the transmission's hot, you'll be circulating water and it'll go in here, which now that I look at it earlier, I was like, oh, that's a little close. But if I would have thought about it then, I would have put this further up there. But oh well, that's where it's at for now. So maybe that'll interfere, but I don't think it's a problem. Anyway, not a big deal. If we got to move stuff around later, we will. But we got that knocked out. We showed the boost pipe. It's looking good. So we're knocking off for the night. Man, this was a weird day. We just chased little fittings and welding stuff. Wasn't super awesome, but it's all stuff that needs to be done. We're getting pretty close to being able to order the hoses. I guess the last thing I'll mention, there's a, let me just kind of see if you can see this. That fitting, the one I just showed you, that's made out of steel. It's like forged steel, and it threads into the, whatever, the BSP, whatever that thread, whatever it is, that goes in the block. And so that steel, that fitting is really strong. It's steel, not aluminum, so it's fatigue resistant compared to aluminum. And then I want to run AN lines from that, 2 of them. One is going to deliver oil pressure to the cylinder head. It's a 6 AN. Another one delivers oil pressure to the turbo. This is currently a 4 AN, but we got a 6A in on order. We just realized that. And I need to hook up the pressure sensor. Well, we have this one, but I really don't want to put this. I bought this adapter and it came in and I even put the sensor in it and then decided not to use this. So this is aluminum, so that's already strike one. I was going to put this fitting on the fitting that's in the block and then hook my hose up here and have a sensor that goes here. But I didn't want to use an aluminum fitting, but I couldn't find this part made out of like stainless steel or steel. So that was strike one. And then if I put the sensor on it, as the motor vibrates, this vibrates, which is not good for the sensor, which is kind of strike two. And even though I put this together, I was looking at it, then the packaging was tight. It's kind of close to the starter. It's close to the oil filter. That was strike three. I was like, screw this. I don't like it. So we went and bought a male-to-male fitting. So it just has that on both ends, and it still has the tap for the sensor. And we'll just have to run two hoses. So that's kind of a downside. But we'll have a hose that kind of comes off, loops around, and somewhere back here we'll put our T-fitting, and then we'll shoot over and probably catch the turbo. And we'll just do it that way. That makes the sensor more accessible, and since it's on a hose, it won't be vibrating with the engine as it would be if it was rigid mounted. So that's just a little thing for reliability. It's about the lightest way I know to get a sensor in there. You could do like a block and machine it and bolt it somewhere, and that would be slick, but it'd be heavy, and then it'd be just heavier and arguably not look as good if you like the minimalist approach, you know. So anyway, that's all we got for now. We're gonna knock off. We've had a long day. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and until next time, y'all take it easy.